Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched WWE NXT UK episode 33 and NXT episode 495. These both aired on March 6th, 2019. This is a lot to watch tonight because NXT was an hour and 15 minutes this week because it was the entirety of the Dusty Classic first round, and it was fantastic. Lots of great matches, and even like the worst parts of it were still pretty good. So really a solid week overall. This week we also got a double dose of European Union as the tag team of Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel were both on NXT UK and NXT. So going right at the top, we had over on NXT UK, we had Ligero versus Joseph Connors. This match was pretty good. This crazy moment was when Connors just drops Ligero over the top rope. He just drops him into the void darkness of the ringside area. It's like he just dropped him into a pit. He just goes straight down and disappears. I was like, I know he was just going like right to the floor, but yeah, watching that, it's kind of like it's like an optical illusion kind of. There is like no slowing down. Like normally you see them like hit the ground a little bit, so you see their bodies like kind of slow down or like change shape or something like that. But no, he just went whoop, gone. And there's got to be an edited GIF version of that somewhere where he just drops off into a bottomless pit and then into space, into the void of the ever expanding universe. But Ligero came back from being dropped into hell and won that match. We had a great interview with Tony Storm. Well, the interview itself was pretty good. It wasn't great. Well, it was good. It was great. It was maybe great. I'm digging myself a hole here. The interview itself isn't what was notable for me. It was neither bad nor okay. Start over. I liked this interview a lot because it ended with what's next for Tony Storm, and she walked out of frame to reveal Ginny there walking by with her her suitcase, and it answers that question, and I really like that reveal, and yeah, it was kind of funny. It was a little bit comedic in a way. It wasn't really played as a huge laugh or anything, but yeah, I like that moment a lot. Then we had Sam Stoker and Lewis Howley versus the team of Eichner and Barthel. They go by the name Pretty Deadly, and it was a Vic. I think Vic quoted them like this really long quote. It's like, or to exactly quote them, why they're called this, and this whole long thing. I really enjoyed that. But Eichner and Bartel came out on top because they are the more established, experienced, powerful tag team, and I was rooting for them, so I was happy about that. Then we had Charlie Morgan versus Nina Samuels. Nina won that match. And then our main event, a Falls Count Anywhere match between Travis Banks and Jordan Devlin. Man, this match was awesome. Awesome. They are just all over the place, of course, because there's no countouts, so they can go up in the crowd and everything. The highlight of this match was when they're up in the audience, like in the risers, and then there's that big drop off down to the floor, and that they ended up on the rails up there, and Jordan Devlin gets just knocked off of there down to the ground, and then Travis Banks jumps off into him. That was really great. But Jordan Devlin ended up winning the match via Spanish Fly, but entirely because he had been beaten right before that, but the referee had been taken out of action. He was knocked out of the ring for just a moment there. So Jordan Devlin was able to recover and got the pin for himself. So this was a pretty exciting episode of NXT UK. And it's, absolutely worth checking out that main event. It was great. So that brings us to the NXT episode 495, the first round of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. First up, we had Aleister Black and Ricochet. Now, I at one point here at the end of my notes, I wrote down their names abbreviated as Al and Rick. And that sounds like the owners of an auto shop just in a small town auto shop. Matt suggested Al and Rick's Mufflers. So you go take your car in to Al and Rick's. You really want to hope that you're going to see, you're going to be talking to Ricochet. Because Aleister, he's just so moody. He's always in a grumpy mood. You want to talk to Rick about your exhaust problems. Anyway, Al and Rick versus Mark and Fab. That doesn't work as well. Fabian. What is there a short version of Fabian, like a nickname version of Fabian? I don't know. I'm not familiar with anybody with that name. And if they have a nickname version of it. Anyway, Fabian Aichner and Marcel Barthel put up a great fight. Unfortunately, their second appearance of the week, of the day, technically, did not go as well as their first. But Aleister wins the match via Black Mass to Aichner. But this match is definitely worth checking out. You get to see some of the great stuff that Aichner and Barthel do. I don't know if it has a name yet, but that combination where throw the guy over the other guy and then they hit a brain buster on him, that's so awesome. It's my favorite tag team move. And I don't know if it has a name. It's like a toss over, like what do we call it? Like a press toss brain buster, something like that. Okay. Anyway, that was a great match. The worst match of the night, but still pretty good because we got the fantastic team of Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. So Oney Lorcan, of course, on 205 Live, won his match against Humberto Carrillo, but unfortunately that win didn't carry over to here because the Forgotten Sons won this match. Jay Cutler, I think it is, and Wesley Blake were the active members of that 3-man Forgotten team. So yeah, there is still some good stuff in there, but it is the least interesting, the least exciting, least memorable match of the 4. And we had a quick promo with the Velveteen Dream coming out, interrupted by Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle, he has his eyes on that North American Championship, and that could be a pretty great match. Dream versus Bro. He says, Bro, I just came out to say hi and challenge you for that. Then we had Mustache Mountain. There was also a great interview with Io Shirai and Kairi Sane. So that's a highlight of this episode as well. So even though all of the matches this week were for the classic, the tag team classic, we still got these other storylines being progressed in between. So that was a really, really nicely done throughout this episode. Because they could have just had a regular 1 hour, like 60-minute episode if they left all of that stuff out. So I appreciate that they had that stuff in there to keep us interested in everything else that's going on. Mustache Mountain versus Street Profits. Mustache Mountain won. And DIY, who came out to their individual music, but then it changed to DIY music. And that was so awesome and also so sad because we know now that Ciampa is getting neck surgery tomorrow as of this recording. And will be out of action for who knows how long. Maybe forever. Hopefully it goes well and he recovers well and that it's not forever. So good luck. Good luck, Tommaso. DIY versus Undisputed Era. The Kyle O'Reilly and Fish combination. That's the number 3 at your local restaurant. The O'Reilly and Fish combo. Anyway, this match is fantastic. I didn't take any specific notes about it. Just go watch this whole episode plus the main event from NXT UK. They're all great. But maybe skip Forgotten Sons winning. So next week we will have Mustache Mountain versus the Forgotten Sons. Mustache Mountain's got to win that match, right? They've got to win that match. And then we have DIY versus Al and Rick. Got to go with the auto shop. No, but if DIY does win this match, now I don't know. I haven't read spoilers or anything like that from the taping, because they only taped through round 2. We don't have the final yet. They're gonna do that at the tapings next week after, or like while this is being aired. Anyway, so I don't know the results of next week's matches. But I would bet on Mustache Mountain advancing. But I would also bet on DIY advancing, if not for this injury situation. Now, another question we could postulate. Postulate? Is that the right word? Could speculate about what they knew, if they knew. As when they did these 2 matches that Ciampa was going to be out, that he was going to get this surgery this soon, that maybe that was all part of the plan and that they will be eliminated, or that they have something in place that will make sense when we see it on screen next week. But 2 possibilities: if they do if DIY wins and advances to the final, and they do have to be replaced, here are the 2 possibilities that I think would be really interesting. The first possibility would be just Ciampa replaced. Now the whole thing that set him off back when he turned on Gargano is that he was so easily replaceable. People were saying, "Oh, just get Oney Lorcan in there. It looks just like him anyway," and things like that. So I said go different route. Don't replace him with Oney Lorcan. He's already in this tournament anyway. But don't do anything like that. Instead, replace Johnny Wrestling's partner with his other partner, Candice LeRae. How cool would that be? To see them in the final, see them win the final, and see them versus, oh, that would be so cool. Them versus the War Raiders at TakeOver. How awesome would that be? The other possibility is DIY is replaced entirely. And I would suggest that Adam Cole and Roderick Strong get in there as the other half of Undisputed Era. Undisputed Era as a whole wasn't eliminated. Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish were eliminated. I can see that happening. That would be pretty cool. And then, of course, the most sensible possibility would be just that they're eliminated in the second round, so that we end up with Mustache Mountain versus Al and Rick. We got the UK mechanics versus the United States mechanics, except he's not from the Alistair isn't from the United States. But anyway, we got the NXT UK mechanics against the NXT UK mechanics. Can't talk now at all. But yeah, these two episodes were great. Check them out. Let me know what you thought about them by tweeting me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. That's the other thing. Or wherever you listen to podcasts. And I'll be back real soon. I decided that I am going to, because I pick up my new comics on Wednesdays, and I don't usually get a chance to read many of them or all of them anyway. By the time I watch the new DC show of the week, so I may as well just talk about them the day that I get them, that I pick them up. So I will from now on be doing a separate comic book episode, separate from doing like Doom Patrol or Swamp Thing or Young Justice, whatever the new DC Universe shows are that week. So very soon, probably even later today, I'll have my new comics episode for this week, which is week. What week is it? What week of the year is it? Are we in week 10 now? I think so. What was the thing I just posted? It was. Yeah, we're in week 10 of 2019. Where did it disappear? No, there it is. It just. The thumbnail disappeared. Anyway, I got so sidetracked by that. So, a new comics episode. I'll be back for that. I'm going to see either Apollo 11 or Free Solo tomorrow night. So I'll definitely be doing an episode about whichever of those two that I watch. And then Captain Marvel comes out this weekend. It comes out tomorrow night, actually, but I'll be seeing it on Saturday morning. And, of course, on Sunday, we have WWE Fastlane 2019. That I do want to mention this real quick. It infuriates me sometimes, the kind of stuff that people complain about. And I realize the hypocrisy or the I guess it's the hypocrisy of that is me complaining about it here. Okay, so first of all, okay, this is not the point I was going to make based on what I was just talking about, but it was announced that there's going to be a big announcement out of Tampa tomorrow from the WWE, and everybody's like, oh, we know what that is. It's going to be WrestleMania in Tampa next year. Then Tampa newspaper, their website, they put something out. It's going to be an official announcement about this, but we're telling you it that's what it is. So WrestleMania will be in Tampa next year. I saw the first thing, how I learned about it was I saw a tweet of somebody like, ugh, really? Florida again? Or something like that. And it's like, why is that such a problem? Try Drum Corps International, where finals is in the same place every single year. And then and then complain about WrestleMania going back to the same places every few years. Although this is a really quick turnaround to that. It was only where was it? It was in Orlando just 2 years ago. So it is only a 3-year break to be in Florida again. That is I would think it would be in Texas first. If it's going to be, like if it was like a 4-year cycle, I could get behind that. That's like enough of a variety. But if it's only a 3-year cycle, going back to Florida every 3 years, that's kind of iffy. But anyway, I think it'll be cool. I don't think I've ever been to Tampa, so I think it'd be pretty cool to go down there, check it out, and go see all the WrestleMania stuff. Um, the thing about WrestleMania in New York is that WrestleMania itself isn't actually in New York. It's in New Jersey. It's over at MetLife Stadium across the way. And it's like I'm like kind of a little bit stressed out about getting over there because I'm staying in Brooklyn, and like everything figured out how to get around in Brooklyn, and like I know I'm familiar with the hotel I'm staying at and how to get to Barclays from there. It's a little bit of figuring out to go to Access and everything, but getting to MetLife Stadium, it's like an hour and a half, like on the subway and buses and stuff, doing it that way. Maybe like 40 minutes or so when there's not traffic. If I got like an Uber left, so like I'm a little bit stressed out about it. I'm not renting a car because why would you rent a car in New York? Yeah, so it will be nice to go. It'll nice being in another city, even though it's also down south, so it's gonna be like humid and everything, like New Orleans was, but in a place where that I assume it's gonna be easier to get around, like make more sense to get a rental car than if you're gonna be in New York. Anyway, so the point I wanted to make is that I see like all this like negativity online, things like that, where it's like there are whole Twitter accounts that are dedicated to, and news sites that seem like they're just dedicated to negative stuff. Like I've talked about this before, that it'll be something good that happens, but then it'll immediately be negative about it. Like I don't even want to think of any examples because I don't want to spread all those the same type of words and stuff. But it's like, enjoy the good thing that's happening. We don't have to make it immediately bad. Like, okay, for example, like Samoa Joe last night. I can talk about this in this episode because it's not a spoiler now. Samoa Joe winning the United States Championship. An example of that would be like, oh, Samoa Joe wins the championship. How long is it going to be till they screw that up? That's like the most basic. That is like the most basic example of that. But it happens I see that every single time something good happens, or if somebody from NXT is now on Raw or SmackDown. And you could say like, well, how many times has that turned out to be true, that they screw it up and that they aren't even used right or whatever like that? And yeah, but if you go into it expecting it to fail, and then are you getting joy out of it then failing? It's like, oh yeah, I was right. I knew it. I knew they were gonna screw it up. And then if they are done well, if they do are successful and all that, then I feel like those same people they don't admit they don't say like, oh, I was wrong. How silly of me, or not, like I shouldn't have been so negative about it because it turned out to be really good or anything like that. They just don't mention it. They leave it out. It's a confirmation bias type of thing. So it like, just enjoy the good stuff that is happening. I mean, I was a little bit negative about some stuff here, but it was mostly for comedic effect, I think, particularly the Forgotten Sons on there, because it's right there in the name. I always forget about them. I was literally looking at the bracket for the tournament, and then when they came on screen, it's like, oh right, they're in this too. I was just looking at their names on the sheet of paper. I didn't have it printed out. On the screen, on the image of the bracket. Anyway, stop being negative about everything. 'Cause there's so much stuff that is actually, like, don't be negative about the positive stuff. That's what gets me. Like, being negative about the bad stuff, that makes sense. Or like being upset about bad stuff, that makes sense. But taking good stuff and being negative about it and then being upset about it, like preemptively upset about a good thing turning bad. That's silly. That's just silly. And I should be more. I'm sure I've done that myself on this podcast, but I'm gonna take my own advice. The advice that I'm giving now is be positive about the stuff that you like, and don't and just hope that the stuff that you don't like gets better. Um, and then I think that's just an overall positive experience. If it doesn't get better, like, no big deal. You still can enjoy the stuff that you do like. And that applies to everything, not just watching WWE. Okay, that's it. I went 10 minutes longer just talking about this nonsense over here. So I already did all the plugs and all of that. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back real soon with all the other episodes that I already talked about. This has been TIW Podcast. Bye. I should add like music, like a little bit of music I play like from my phone or something at the beginning and the end. I don't do any mixing. I'm gonna talk another like 30 seconds or so. Despite the end of the episode just now. I don't know. I gotta play something. I don't do any mixing or editing of these shows. I just record it straight to my iPad and then, convert it and then put it up. But I was just thinking, if you're listening to these back to back, which I suppose might be possible that some people are doing that, or may do that in the future, that there's just me saying bye, which isn't really consistent at the end of every episode. I just do it different every time. Like just right now, I said bye, but now I started talking again, and now it's not. It's still the same episode. You're still listening to the same episode that you heard the goodbye from just a second ago. So I need to think of something that I'll most likely just play on my phone at the beginning and the end, and then it'll be so dumb, but at least then you'll know that the end of the episode is here, or the beginning of the episode is here. So I'm going to try it right now with the ending episode music. Bye.